One of the things that stood out to me was when you started talking about social media and how you said you were quite old school and how perhaps you would prefer to be born at a time where social media wasn't around. I'm just wondering, do you think overall social media sort of a positive impact right now on society, or do you really think that we'd be better off without it?
A bit of both. I'm going to say there's good and bad to it, and that's why I do it because I obviously there is good to it, and that's why I'm, still trying with it and stuff. But I think mentally, for me, it's been tough. I just through my experience, like feel like there's a lot of expectations and pressures, and um, like I said, a lot of people look perfect on Instagram when really that's not how life goes. So that's kind of what's pushing me behind YouTube to show a little bit of the other side because I think people really forget, that what we see on the internet isn't always, what's happening. And I think mentally people get really caught up these days. And I feel like it does get worse each year, kind of people get worse and worse with the different apps like TikTok and stuff, people on TikTok lifestyles, things people post are very fake. And if you get caught up in that mentally, it can be a bad thing. So I feel like there's pros and cons to social media, but I would have liked to have been in a time where I didn't have to worry about that. And I think for me as well, that my mum's always asked me this throughout my career. She's always been like, do you want to fight? Is this what you want to do? And I've always been one that, I would fight if there was no crowd just because I love to fight. If I could make money and still fight without anything that comes with it, I would do it. But I feel like now it's getting to a point where people do it just for money and stuff, whereas I would like to be back, where none of that mattered and we could just fight and be good athletes. So but you got to move with the times, but that's just how I would have liked it. Yeah.
The reason why I was asking you about social media is because I chat to a lot of footballers and they get so much hate, so much stick online and direct messages and things like that. And they tell me, that people have got too comfortable saying things online without any consequences. Or I think, as Mike Tyson said, without getting punched in the face for saying, things online where they're a little bit anonymous. Do you get a lot of hate or criticism or people like that who trolls, as some would put it?
I get a few. I'm not one of the important ones yet that they want to troll as much. So I think I've definitely got that to come. And again, that's something my mum and my brother always say, and I've noticed them saying it a little bit more, like even like now I've started YouTube and stuff just to be prepared with what's going to come, don't read comments and things like that. But like what you just said is exactly why, like in the older generation, I don't feel like anyone would write that. It was all kind of face to face. Everyone was so real. Um, there was no like hiding behind a keyboard or like behind a fake account, and people were just nicer in general. There wasn't, I suppose I wasn't I've never lived in that, years ago, so I don't 100% know, but I feel like people were nicer people back then just because, everything was in front of each other. And now I feel like you have to like always be aware of kind of what someone's going to write and be prepared to get this hate that just isn't necessary, but that comes with social media. So I feel like sometimes it can be a bit of a bane on you on your life when all I want to do is just focus on training, getting better and being a good fighter.